Here's the one thing nobody in that holler argues about, young'un. In over 100 years, not one family ever let a son or a daughter marry into the Prewitt name. Not once, not a courtin', not a weddin', not so much as a dance held too long with one of 'em. That much is gospel, but why? Now there I've heard 3 different tellings from 3 folks I'd trust with my life, spread across 3 different generations. An old man past 90 told me one why. A woman not yet 60 told me another. And her own kin, a young man not much more than 30, told me a third, and it don't agree with either one. 3 tellings, 3 different truths, each one dead certain of itself. And I'll tell you plain, young'un, I've had all 3 settin' in my head for years now, and I still couldn't tell you which one I'd swear to. Can't none of 'em rightly be proved wrong, neither. Tonight, I'm going to give you all 3, the way each one gave it to me. And I want you listening close, not just to how they're different, but to the one thing that shows up in every single tellin', whether the teller knew the others existed or not. By the end, you tell me which one you'd have believed. 'Cause I still can't. Now, before I get into the first of the 3, for them just settlin' in, name's Elias. Papaw Elias, if you're kindly. I'm out here 2 nights a week, Saturdays and Sundays, and if this porch is one you mean to keep comin' back to, I'd take it as a kindness if you'd subscribe. Hit that like button too if it's earned it, so more folks find their way here same as you did. Now, let me start with the oldest of the 3 that ever told it to me. But before I bring 'em in, let me lay out what's not in question. 'Cause everything after this is where the tellings split. The Prewitt place sits back off the main holler road, up a hollow of its own. Thick timber all round it, closer to the ridge than to any neighbor. Family's been there since before my own grandfather Ezra was a boy. Bought the land, built on it, worked it, same as any family, and for as long as anybody living can recall, generation on generation, not one soul from this holler ever married in. Boys grew up, courted plenty of girls, never a Prewitt one. Girls grew up the same, and no young man from a Prewitt household ever come callin' on 'em neither. It wasn't spoke as a rule, wasn't need to be. Everybody just knew. Now, I've asked around on that off and on most of my life, and I never did get the same answer twice. 3 folks told it to me straight, sure of themselves, each one certain they had the truth of it, and I'm going to give you all 3, just the way I got 'em. I ain't going to tell you which one to believe. Truth is, I never could settle that for myself. The oldest tellin' come from a man named Amos Caudle, 98 years old when he told it to me, settin' on his own porch not 2 hollers over, and Amos never told a story he didn't stand behind. Man had a memory like a steel trap right up till the day he passed. Amos said the trouble started with the first Prewitt to hold that land. A man named Zebulon Prewitt bought it off a family that got run out of that hollow under circumstances nobody wanted to say plain, even back then. And the price Zebulon paid for it, Amos said, wasn't a fair one. Wasn't robbery exactly, but it wasn't honest neither. And land got by a debt that never gets properly settled, Amos always told me. That debt don't just go away. It comes due. Generation after generation, it comes due on whoever's holding the deed. To hear Amos tell it, the Prewitts weren't the trouble at all. They were paying for something none of 'em had a hand in doing. Every family in that line's been settling up a bill they never run, he told me, and this holler's known it long enough to keep its children clear of it. Now, that's the way Amos always told it. Clara Hensley tells it a whole different way. Clara's not yet 60, taught school in this holler near 30 years, sharp as anybody I know. And when I brought Amos's telling to her once, just to see what she'd say, she near about laughed, though not unkind. "That's a pretty story, Elias," she told me, "but it ain't the reason. My mama told me the reason, and her mama told her. To hear Clara tell it wasn't no debt on the land at all. Was something in the blood. She said it was known, quiet-like, generation after generation, that there was an affliction that run in the Prewitt line, children born strange in the head, or took with fits nobody could account for, more often than seemed natural for one family. Wasn't talked of open. Wasn't need to be. Mothers just made sure their daughters kept their distance, and fathers did the same for their sons, and it got handed down as plain good sense, same as not eatin' meat gone green. Wasn't cruelty, Clara told me. Wasn't even really about the Prewitts as people. It was about not wantin' to risk what might come of it. Now set them two tellin' side by side a minute, young'un, and see what you got. Amos has the Prewitts as folks caught payin' for somebody else's sin, generation after generation, the holler keepin' its children clear of 'em out of something close to pity. Clara has 'em as a family carryin' something dangerous in their own blood, and the holler keepin' clear out of plain self-protection. One tellin', the Prewitts are victims. The other tellin', the Prewitts are the danger itself. Can't rightly be both, and I got two people I trust tellin' me each one like it was carved in stone. And I hadn't even got to the third one yet. Denny Caudle's tellin' Amos's own grandson, if you can believe it, don't agree with either one of theirs. Let me stop you right there a second, for I bring in the third tellin', 'cause this next one's the one that pulled the rug out from under me first time I heard it. I'm always curious where this porch reaches of an evening. So if you'll do me a kindness, drop me a comment and tell me what town or county you're listening from tonight. And if there's a family like the Prewitts back where you're from, one nobody in your parts ever married into, and nobody could rightly say why, I'd be obliged to hear about that too. Now, back to it. Denny Caudle. Denny's 31. Amos's own blood, like I said, grandson on his daddy's side. And when I told Denny what his own grandfather believed about the Prewitts, he looked at me like I'd told him the moon was made of cheese. "Papaw, that ain't it at all," he said. "Ain't no curse on that land, and ain't nothing wrong with anybody's blood. It's a whole lot simpler and a whole lot sadder than that." Denny's tellin' goes like this. 2, 3 generations back, a Prewitt girl had a baby with no husband to show for it. Wasn't uncommon, sadly, but the family handled it bad, tried to hide it, then got caught hiding it, and the shame of that stuck to the name harder than it needed to. Folks in this holler took their respectability serious back then, Denny said, and once a family got marked as not respectable, that mark just got passed down as habit. Nobody rememberin' why no more, just knowin' you don't marry a Prewitt, same as you don't walk under a ladder. Ain't no mystery to it, Denny told me, just a grudge that outlived the reason for it. 3 tellings, young'un, 3 different truths, and not one of them. 3 folks, Amos, Clara, or Denny, ever heard either one of the other 2 tellings before I brought it to 'em. Now, I want to set all 3 of 'em down together, plain, and let you see what I've been chewing on for years. Amos's tellin' makes the Prewitts victims, Folks born into a debt they never run up, paying for somebody else's dealings. That telling's got mercy in it. It don't ask you to fear the Prewitts. It asks you to pity 'em and keep your distance out of respect for what they're carrying. Clara's telling makes 'em something closer to a danger, not through any fault of their own, but through what's supposedly in 'em, passed down, whether they'd choose it or not. That telling's got caution in it, not cruelty, but it still marks the family as something to be managed, kept at arm's length. And Denny's telling takes the mystery out of it, near entire. No debt, no blood, just an old shame that calcified into custom. That telling's the kindest to the Prewitts as people and the hardest on this holler, 'cause it means we kept a family alone for generations over something that maybe wasn't even true to begin with. 3 tellings, 3 different pictures of the very same family. And I noticed something setting 'em side by side like this. Each one leaves something out that the others carry. Amos never once mentioned blood. Clara never once mentioned the land deal. Denny never once mentioned either. Except for one thing. One thing every single one of 'em put in without me ever asking after it. A sound. Amos told me he heard it once as a boy, walking home past the Prewitt place at dusk, said it was low, steady, coming from back in the timber near the house, not loud enough to be sure of, but steady enough he never forgot it. Said it wasn't wind. Said he knew wind, and this wasn't that. Clara told me her own grandmother used to mention it, cooking supper with the kitchen window open of a summer evening, years and years before Clara was even born. A sound coming off the Prewitt land, regular as breathing, that her grandmother never could account for and never much wanted to. And Denny heard it himself, not 15 years back, on a dare with 2 other boys. Walked right up near the property line one evening just to say they'd done it. Said the other boys heard it too, and none of the 3 of 'em ever went back. 3 folks, 3 generations, near 80 years between the first hearing and the last. None of 'em knew the others had heard it too, and every single one of 'em, without my ever asking, described the same low, steady sound coming from that same stretch of timber at that same time of evening. That's the one thing that keeps me from setting any of the 3 tellings aside, young'un. A story, a family can get wrong 3 different ways. A sound like that, heard the same by 3 people who never once compared notes, that's harder to explain away. Now, I've turned that over more nights than I care to count, and here's as far as I ever got with it. Maybe none of the 3 of 'em, Amos, Clara, Denny, ever had the whole truth. Maybe what each one give me wasn't a lie exactly. Maybe it was just their own generation's way of putting a name to something none of 'em could rightly explain. Amos's people talked in terms of debts and land, 'cause that's what mattered most to folks trying to survive off that dirt. Clara's people talked in terms of blood and affliction, 'cause that's the language her generation had for what scared 'em. And Denny's generation, not believing much in curses or bad blood, neither one, just called it what was left when you stripped the rest away, an old grudge, plain and simple. 3 different languages, maybe, for the same unexplained thing. That sound being the one part that never got dressed up in any generation's particular way of understanding it, 'cause a sound don't need explaining to be heard. It just needs hearing. I can't tell you which telling carries the truth of it. I've come to believe some nights that maybe no one tellin' ever could. Whatever the why of it was, young'un, it don't much matter to that holler no more, near as I can tell. The Prewitts are mostly gone from that stretch now. Some moved off lookin' for work. Some just died out without leavin' much behind, and the last of 'em that I know of left the place shut up tight the better part of 10 years back and never did come around to sell it. The house still stands, best anybody's told me. Nobody's tore it down, and nobody's moved in, neither. The timbers took back most of the yard. The road up to it's grown over enough you'd have to know it was there to find it. And there ain't hardly nobody livin' close enough no more to say whether that sound's still comin' of an evening. Amos passed a few years back. Clara don't get up that way much these days. Denny told me he ain't been back near it since that one dare, and don't aim to be. So the place just sets there, quiet, far as anybody livin' can tell you. But quiet ain't the same as empty, young'un, and I don't know a soul left to tell you which one it is. Now, before I let you go tonight, I want to ask you something, and I mean this serious. Which of them 3 tellings would you have believed if Amos, Clara, and Denny had sat you down one at a time, same as they did me? The debt on the land, the blood, or just an old grudge nobody let go of? Tell me down in the comments, and tell me if that sound would have settled it for you or made it worse. If this porch is one you mean to keep comin' back to, I'd be obliged if you'd subscribe Saturdays and Sundays, same as always, with another one waitin' on you. Next time, I got a carso about a granny woman called out to a berth in a cabin that, by all rights, shouldn't have had a soul livin' in it no more. For tonight, though, that's the Prewitt place, same as I found it. Quiet. I think on it some nights, settin' out here on my own porch, long after everybody's gone quiet up and down this holler. 3 folks, 3 tellin's, one sound that outlasted all 3 of their explanations. I don't reckon I'll ever get a 4th tellin' now. Amos is gone, and I don't imagine Clara or Denny's got much more to add past what they already give me. So I'm left the same place I started. 3 different whys, and one thing that don't need a why at all to be true. Low, steady, comin' from the timber of an evenin'. I still hear it sometimes in my own head, tellin' this one. I expect I always will.